And welcome to Control Alt Deplete. We are
What up?
back. Episode
Yep.
35. On the left side of your screen, I am your host, Buck Blind, and on the right side of your screen is our other host, Mr. Bioshock. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Not too shabby. Let's see here. It's been a while. Try and remember how we did this.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a couple months. We were getting ready to start, and then
Stuff happened.
yeah, it's kind of. I was sick for like a good long 2 weeks almost, but we're back now.
Yeah.
So let's get right to it. This is Control Alt Deplete. We are the podcast about World of Warcraft. Specifically focusing on Mythic Plus, occasionally a little bit of Raid and PvP, and never focusing on Plunderstorm. All right, we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's see here. Some quick news for y'all. The weekly affixes are Fortified, Storming, and Bursting. It's not too bad this week. Remember to watch Remember to watch your stacks on that Bursting. And
or get a priest.
Yes, or get a priest, and you will have a smooth run.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there's some other news, some Twitch drops. You want to take us through that?
Yep. So it's the Fathom Pet Twitch drop, and all you have to do is watch 4 hours to receive the pet. It's like a little how would you like a little crustacean?
It's a little crab. It's a purple crab.
Crab has jewels on it as well.
Yes, yeah, it's like
it's a
pimped out crab.
Yeah, pretty cool. 4 hours, just put it on. Enjoy my stream, watch my stream, and get it.
Yeah, according to Wowhead, it says it might be a reference to Moana's Tamatoa, which I've never seen Moana because I've
never seen either.
The kids, I know my wife and kids have watched it at some point, but I have not.
Neither have I. I don't have much interest in it either, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see it at some point. But no, it looks pretty good. I kind of like to look at it.
It's decent for a pet. I was hoping to have another mount because I like collecting mounts, not pets. But it is what it is.
Yeah, it's an aquatic pet, so that'll be nice. Yeah, watch 4 hours of any World of Warcraft stream.
Yeah, from March 22nd to April 5th.
Yes, if you want to watch Plunderstorm, then watch all of the regular WoW streamers. If you don't want to watch Plunderstorm because you're sick of it, like us, then watch our streams if we're streaming, because we will not be streaming Plunderstorm.
Yeah. Well, we'll get more into that later, though.
Then the rep bonuses. This is going to be our first, just ultra negative bashing on Blizzard podcast. Normally, we're very, very pro Blizzard, and I don't know why people are so mad at this time. Nah. Anyway, season 4. It's because we've had the new patch drop, which brought us Plunderstorm. But it also, the news is that we should be getting season 4 after several weeks. Several could be defined in many different ways, depending on who you talk to. My guess is 6 or 7 weeks probably is what we're looking at. I think PTR is now up, I believe.
I was gonna guess 5 to 6, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, we talked about this. I think I said, March 30th, or not March, April 30th. I think is when the season is going to start. Yeah, I think April 30th is when I am expecting the season 4 to start. But anyway, there have been some reputation bonuses, data mine for season 4. So there's 3. There are 3 of them. There's the Sign of Awakened Storms, Sign of Awakened Embers, Sign of Awakened Dreams. So the Storms gives you the Dragonscale Expedition, Maruk Centaur, and the Iskara Tuskar. All these are increased by 50%. The Awakened Embers is going to give you reputation bonuses with Loam Nifim, Rathion, Sibelian, and Soradormi. And then the Awakened Dreams will give you reputation bonuses with the Dream Wardens and the Valdrakken Accord.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah. So what what Wowhead seems to think is that it will be a rotation of one being available each week, which makes sense. So maybe that's what we're gonna get. Who knows? But season
Is
4, you're gonna have a lot of opportunities to grind some rep
so is that rep bonus coming with season 4 or pre season 4?
with season 4.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool.
And speaking of season 4, you want to take us to our next bit?
Yes. So rejoice, people that farm the legendaries. Next patch, you get to upgrade them to make them relevant, which is nice for me because I got my legendary on my evoker and I only got to use it for about a month and a half before it was like not worth it anymore. Now I can reuse it, but we're not entirely sure the how the upgrading is going to work. They said there's some item called Scale of the Awakening. We're not sure if it's from the raid or what. We're kind of guessing probably the raid. We're thinking a drop chance better than the legendary itself, but sorry, I lost my train of thought. Better than legendary itself, but not super easy to get. It's kind of what we're thinking.
Right. Yeah.
But
So it's the Scale of
yeah,
Awakening. There's one for the Evoker Legendary and one for the two-handed Legendary.
yeah, and
Um,
it says the first upgrade will bring it to 502. And then allowing it to be upgraded further, and we're not sure if you need more scales to upgrade that or you want aspect crest. We're not really sure yet.
yeah, if it were my decision, the way that this would work would be it would drop from the raid, the corresponding raid that the legendary dropped with. Um, so it'd be the Mirdersil for the two-handed one, and then whatever the second raid was.
Aberrus, I think it
I
was.
think so. Yeah, I think Aberrus was the second one. And that would be where you would get the Evoker Legendary. So that would
Yeah,
be the way I would do it. Is it would drop from those last boss probably, but I would definitely give it a much higher drop chance than the actual legendaries were.
yeah,
I
yeah,
still would give it somewhat of a rare chance, not quite like I don't know. We were talking like maybe if you did it 5 times, 2 out of those 5 times, it's probably going to drop for you. So
right.
something like that. I don't think anyone should have to run it more than 5 times to be guaranteed to get it. That's how I would
Yeah.
do it.
So we'll see how that plays out, but
Yeah.
it's nice that you can upgrade your legendaries and keep them relevant for the rest of the expansion.
Yes, and yeah, the actual, like you said, the tooltip says that it increases the item level to 502 and allows it to be upgraded farther. What we are not sure on is how it will be upgraded. Will it be upgraded through more scales of awakening, or will it be upgraded through the current upgrade system for all the other gear, like using aspect crest or something for it?
Yeah, yeah,
I think we both would like to see it be aspect crest over
yes,
more scales and having to continuously farm it. But I wouldn't put
yeah,
it past Blizz to make it where each scale you get is going to upgrade it 3 item levels or and then they just
yeah,
make you grind it every week. But yeah, I do like that they are going to allow you to upgrade it. I think that's good, make the legendary worthwhile. I think
yes,
my personal opinion is any legendary item should be worth having the entire expansion.
yes, yeah,
I think a season is too short. I think like I would have liked to have seen the Evoker Legendary have something like this that would drop in the current raid that would have allowed you to upgrade it.
to 496.
Yeah.
Yeah. The now talking about the legendaries, the Evoker legendary is pretty good for your team. Because how it works right now is when using a powered ability, one of your teammates gets 500 to their main stat, and you have 2 empowered abilities to keep that rolling, which is pretty cool. So it's 500 at 456, I think. So it's depending on how high the upgrading goes, that buff is going to be pretty nice, I think.
Nice.
I do know the axe with the right player and dungeon that the legendary axe can really do some work, which is nice too. Because I know it wasn't a little underwhelming when it first came out.
Yes, it was the dot was weird. Something about it didn't spread or something. I can't remember exactly.
I
It,
think it's scaled with haste.
it didn't. I think there was something with it didn't scale,
That's what I
or
said.
something. Yeah, yeah. Something was messed up with it, and then they eventually changed it, and it became much stronger.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, we just had a little off topic. We just did an 18th throne, and this unholy deathlight was in there. It was his third top damage. The legendary axe, pretty cool.
yeah, he did like over
Nice.
300k DPS.
Yeah, he did 302. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think that's honestly, I'm pretty sure that's the highest DPS I've seen in a dungeon that we've done.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think I've seen anybody hit 300k yet.
And to top it off, he was only 483.
Yeah.
That's it.
Um.
So.
Yeah. Speaking of dungeons, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say this real quick. Part of the reason why he's able to do so much is because your demon hunter pulled so much. I was able to hold like huge groups of ads. If it was like a pug tank that wasn't pulling that way, his DPS wouldn't have been as good. So I mean, tanks definitely help with.
Yeah, definitely true. You gotta have a tank that can handle big pulls, can pull, and isn't afraid to pull big.
Yeah. Anyways, go on.
So yeah, speaking of dungeons, season 4, we do know for sure now, it has been confirmed by Blizzard that the 8 dungeons for season 4 are just the 8 Dragonflight dungeons.
Yeah.
This is gonna.
I like this.
For me, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I'm torn on it because I'm like, I would like to see all 8 dungeons in the first season, not in the last season. I guess I think it should have been swapped around. But I will say, like, I do think that the whole, because I know I was the very doom and gloom on the having 4 new dungeons with 4 old dungeons, and them even using old dungeons. I don't think I mind it as much anymore. It just kind of also depends on the dungeon selection. Like I don't know, you have to be really careful with which dungeons you're picking. They definitely should never again let people vote for the dungeons because it's inevitable. If you let people vote for the dungeons, you just get the absolute worst dungeons. Yes, because you get people that don't even do Mythic Plus and just want to ruin Mythic Plusers' lives, and they will vote for the worst dungeons. So you get people who don't even play the game anymore will go and vote for crap dungeons just out of spite.
That being said, talking about voting, what is your thoughts on the voting for the tier set?
Let's get into that here in just a minute.
Okay.
We'll finish talking about the dungeons, and then we'll talk. We can cover that here in just a second. Okay. So yeah, so the 8 Dragonflight dungeons are Oldemon, which isn't terrible. Not my favorite dungeon. It's not terrible. You got Algathar Academy, which is I think that's both of our favorites. You've got Neltharis, which not too bad. I don't mind Neltharis that much. I think some pugs can struggle in there because of the mechanics and certain bosses, but if you know the mechanics, it's really not bad. And then let's see, we've got Noku Defensive, which it's all right. It's not awful, but it's not fun. I think that's my issue with most of the dungeons in Dragonflight is they're not awful dungeons. I just don't like them. Like the visuals, I don't like the mechanics too much. I just don't like them as much as other dungeons. You've got Azure Vault, which is absolutely awful in my opinion.
I think for Azure Vault, do you think they should get rid of that skip? A lot of people like scale the side of the wall and then drop down. Remember that?
I don't have any problem with the skip. I have a problem with the ads that cause us to skip. Right. That's the problem. That whole dungeon, honestly, I don't like that dungeon very much at all.
It's nice looking, but it's a little.
Halls of Infusion isn't too bad. So that's number 6, and then we have what else we got? We have Brackenhide Hollow, which I think will be. That one's a dungeon I didn't like at first. I think it definitely grew on me just because you can get such big pulls in there. It's a lot of fun to pump big numbers in there. And then what's the last dungeon? Oh yeah. The dungeon that we all want to forget about, the dungeon we all like to see deleted from the game, Ruby Life Pulse. Absolutely
Saving the best for last.
My problem with Ruby Life pools is that it is far and above the most beautiful, best looking visual dungeon of this expansion. It is an amazing looking dungeon. Mechanically, it is awful. I hate that dungeon so much. The unavoidable AoE damage needs to be just deleted. They just need to get rid of that entire ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ruby Life Pools is a dungeon. I love doing it. I love running Ruby Life Pools on normal or heroic. Anything outside of that, it's just not fun on.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we should also talk about that. Anyway, what? All right, so you were wanting to talk about what was it again?
I don't remember.
Um, thoughts on the voting for the tier
Oh,
sets.
yes.
Yes. So what are your thoughts?
They should have 2 different polls, one for PvP, one for PvE. That's simple. They should have done that because people, the majority vote for PvE,
Right.
and if you play PvP, a lot of classes are getting screwed over, getting the worst sets PvP, and tier sets aren't as effective in PvP, but they do matter. So some classes are getting the short straw, and I have just not good talents for PvP, and it sucks. But I don't know. I think they should have. The only issue with that is you have people that would troll. If you had 2 different polls, you'd have people in PvE go and vote for PvP once, anyways.
Right.
So I don't know how they could have fixed that. My thought is 2 polls, but the more I think about it, I don't know if that would have worked anyways.
So here's my thought process. This is my process the second that I saw the voting polls for the tier sets. My thought process was that there should be no voting, and what they should have done is given you like
The
a
choice.
small talent section, and either you could do it one of 2 ways. You could either make it to where season launches, and hey, you first thing you have to do is pick which season's tier set you want to use, and then you use that tier set the whole season. Or my personal opinion of what they should have done is just like your talents, you should have had an option 1, 2, or 3, and you can switch between the 3 sets at any point in time. You want to run this. You want to this season 1 tier set is better for PvP. You want to do PvP, you use the season 1 tier set. Season 2 is better for raid, so when you go to raid, you use the season 2 tier set. Season 3 is better for the Mythic Plus, so when you want to do Mythic Plus, you do season 3 tier set. I think it should have been just a choice like that. You could just swap between either of the 3 at any point in time. I think that would have been made more sense in my opinion. I know they could have done it technologically. It's not that difficult. But
The other thing is the appearance were voted on as well. I'm okay with that because it's just appearance.
Yeah, I didn't even pay any attention to the appearance votes.
Yeah, the Demon Hunter got the one you hate, so
doesn't matter. I already have it. And I don't use it.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's something else I was gonna mention as well. Talking about the dungeons. Oh yeah, the changes to the dungeons. I don't know why I completely forgot to put this in the news. I guess because we've already talked about it a lot. So we do have big changes for season 4 and the way that Mythic Plus is going to work. Let me actually pull up my spreadsheet that I have out here so I can see exactly how this is going to work. So basically,
it looks so nice to catch up, to be honest.
Yeah, so basically, the way that the gear is going to work is, that's right now. So right now our loot goes from +2 to +20. The loot is going to be capped out at a +10. So instead of +11s giving better gear or anything, +10s are going to be the highest you can get gear from. So you can keep doing more, obviously, just like always. However, the way it's supposed to work is that essentially a +2 to a +10 is going to be the equivalent of a +11 to a +20 that we have now. Or I guess a +12 to a +20. So the beginning level, the entry level of a Mythic +2 is going to be a quite a bit more difficult than what you are used to now. But honestly, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because
Yeah.
there's not a ton of people that are doing below 15s anyway. So it's you can still find a group for it, but just most people are running 18s to 20s and that somewhere in that range typically anymore. Um,
So, what was the equivalent? A 10's like a what? Like a 20?
a 10 would, yeah, 10 is the same as, is supposed to be the same difficulty and the same loot reward as like what a 20 is. Um, so you get a piece of 509 gear, which is a hero rank 2 piece from the end of the dungeon for a +10, and it'll give you a rank 2 myth piece, which is 522 item level for season 4.
522 is huge.
And then so an 8, a +8 will give you myth gear in your vault. So a +8 is the bare minimum you're going to want to complete to fill out your vault and get myth gear. It looks like, so let's see. So right away, even a regular mythic 0 is going to give you hero gear rank 1 in your vault. Like just mythic, flat out mythic 0 will give you hero gear. Doing heroic dungeons will give you 476 gear in the actual dungeon, and it'll give you 489 gear in your vault, which is veteran rank 4. So technically, just from doing heroics, you could get up to 502 item level just from doing heroics, because your veteran will go up to 502 item level. So just from doing heroic dungeons, you can fill your vault out with 502 gear. So, gear that can be upgraded to 502. So that's not bad at all. I know they said, I believe, Whelpling and Drake Crest will not be in Mythic Plus. I don't know if it's just going to be open world stuff, or if like, I'm assuming they're going to make like normal dungeons will give you Drake or Whelpling Crest, and like heroic and mythic will give you Drake Crest. I'm assuming something along those lines. I would hope so, because you kind of do need a way to farm Drake Crest, because those do actually have quite a bit of use. End of dungeon, you got to do a 7 to get a hero piece of gear. And then anything up to a 6, 2 to a 6 is going to give you a champion piece of gear.
Yeah, it's nice. I really like that. You can really catch tunes up quickly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm curious on the tuning, how exactly they're going to fit the tuning out. But we'll see how that goes. They are planning on keeping this system going forward into a War Within, where the 10 will be the cap for loot. Again, I feel like it's kind of getting to go more back to the Legion days when Mythic Plus first came out. That's how it was anyway. You had to complete a 10 to fill your vault. And in BFA and Shadowlands, I believe in BFA you had to do a 15. Yeah, I know Shadowlands you just had to do a 15 to fill your vault. And then they upped it to 20 for Dragonflight. So now we're going back to 10s. So we'll see how that plays out. But that is an interesting change. Definitely something to keep in mind. I personally kind of like that change. So I think it also could be interesting, because it'll make just doing heroic dungeons will be very, very worth it. I mean, it's 476 gear, so it's not amazing, but like it's still adventurer gear that can be upgraded to 489, I believe. So, it's a good starting gear, better than I think what heroic does now. It could make it worth for heroic. Anyway, so we did have 10.2.7 launched this past Tuesday. And with it, we got a surprise pirate-themed event. And what was that event? As most of us were probably predicting, we're going to have some cool quest line with pirates, or we're going to have, some kind of a, whether maybe a small. I know me personally, I was hoping for like a 2 to 3 boss mini raid, pirate-themed. Maybe it was going to be some big freehold focused event. No one really knew what it was going to be. and then it dropped, and we got Plunderstorm. And what Plunderstorm is Fortnite and WoW, minus the building.
So
It's
the,
so yeah. Go ahead and take us through a little bit about what Plunderstorm. You did quite a bit of it the other day.
yeah, I got my win and stopped playing. It's interesting. It's a different battle royale for sure, following the same kind of rules, I guess. For Plunderstorm, you have your R's, your auto attack, and then a range attack and stuff like that. And it just kind of rotates through a rotation with 3 spells, and it does a little bit of damage, but you have to be close to somebody to do damage. Everything's skill shot, so your auto attack, you don't have auto attack, like your attack button, the R, you do have to aim it, and you do have to be close to hit. You can pick up spells. You have up to 4 spells or 5 spells, I think.
Could put your mic a little bit closer if you could.
Yeah. So you pick up spells, and there's like range spells, melee spells, stuff like that, AoE stuff and whatnot. But it was interesting at first. It's different, and so a lot of people are playing it. You get into lobbies really quick. It's something very casual. There's definitely some things I don't like, and I don't like. I think they nerfed some of the abilities I didn't like that did way too much damage and stuff. But
Yeah, I know Fire Whirl's gotten nerfed several times.
yeah, it's not great, but it's not bad. I do think it'll die out in a month and a half, is my guess.
Right.
They're really trying to shove it down your throat with this tournament they're starting. Basically, it's $50,000 tournament. They invited streamers and content creators because they're promoting the game, so they're playing it a lot to get practice for the tournament. I might watch the tournament because it might be interesting to watch. I don't know. We'll see. But I do think this is just a fad, and I don't see it staying popular for very long.
Right. Yeah, I was very disappointed off the bat just because it was not what any of us were expecting.
Yeah.
Definitely not what any of us were hoping for. But I was like, we'll give it a shot and see. And it was fun for a couple of games, and then it just wasn't really fun at all.
It gets frustrating.
Yeah, it's not my style of game anyway. I don't like PvP. It has a PvE element, but you're still forced into PvP. And then the other thing is, like, for me, I just want to go in, try to kill the PvE stuff, and just try to gain some levels and get some plunder until there's nothing left to kill. But PvP wise, if you run into somebody, guess what? You're probably dead. And then so the way that it works is, you will literally drop in. You're on a pirate bird, one of the squawks from Freehold.
BFA.
Yeah, you'll drop in wherever you want to land. It's in Rathi Basin, right? Or Rathi Highlands.
Rathi Highlands.
Yeah, Rathi Highlands zone. So, and there's all sorts of rares and mobs that you can kill and stuff, and you get XP from that. You can open up treasure chests. Yeah, you can open up treasure chests that get you XP. Everything has a chance to give you drop in ability. You start off with just your auto. It's not auto attack, but it's like your front. It's a small frontal cone attack that you have.
Yeah.
And then you have
slash.
You have your health. Your health barrel health potion is like a 30-second cooldown. And then you start off with one movement ability. It's the barrel. Typically, you can swap that out if you find something else. But then you have four main ability slots. The 5th one is the movement thing. But you have 2 that are offensive abilities, and then you have 2 that are utility abilities. Those could be some of the ones I've found. You have the caltrops, which put traps down that'll stun anybody that gets stuck in it. You have there's a shield that will repel anybody that's inside your shield and knock them off and away from you. There's a few other ones.
I found one that was kind of OP in my mind. I don't know if other people think the same because I haven't watched any streams about it. But there's the one where you vanish, like you teleport.
You teleport forward and vanish. Yeah, it is OP.
It's like you stay in the stealth for like 4 seconds, and it's like a 13-second cooldown.
I finally had a dude that I was going to be able to kill because I was like 3 levels ahead of him, and he had that ability, and I couldn't catch him. I could not catch up to him to kill him. I had him dead to rights. I had him down to like 10% health, and he popped that, and I just never was able to catch up to him because he would use it. The teleport alone got him far enough away that by the time I was able to catch up to him, it was off cooldown, and he could do it again. Yeah, no, it was impossible to kill him.
That's one of the ones I had when I won. Was the stealth one?
That makes sense.
Because a lot of things like there's AOE and it's like a channel, and you have like 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds to get out. Yeah, that stealth thing gets you out of everything.
Yep. So most of the offensive abilities are either a circle that's around you that you place somewhere, and the enemy has to be in it to get hit by it, or it's like a frontal cone. I think the rhyme bolt or whatever it's called, it's like a frost looking spell. That's the only thing that just locks into the target and will hit him no matter what. But mostly the fire whirl ability is one where you're just spinning in a circle. It's like a giant fire whirlwind. So it's wherever you're at, anything in that circle will get hit. There's a mana bomb, which I think shoots or pulls everything into the center if it's inside the circle, and does a bunch of damage when it yanks them in. But again, if you get out of the circle, you're fine. I think there's another like a mana orb thing that shoots forward.
Yeah, it's like the Arcanosphere for arcane mages in PvP.
Yeah, so it just shoots straight forward in a line.
Does good damage too.
Yeah, but like everything except for the rhyme, whatever it was called, is avoidable. You know, if you just are able to get out of it, you can avoid it. I haven't seen the chain.
So the chain is like a 2-button thing. Like you click it, and you don't have to aim it or anything. It shoots at your target, and you click it again, and it pulls you to them. And so there's no skill shot involved there. It literally just hits your target.
Is it a utility or an offensive ability?
I don't remember. I think it does a little bit of damage. I think it's mainly to get you into melee to use other abilities. Is kind of what I remember.
Probably is a utility then. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
But like it's an interesting concept. It's the combat style is very Diablo-esque. As far as the abilities and everything. It is, yeah. It's very Diablo-esque.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, it's true.
I feel like it could be more fun if there was a little bit more PvE aspect to it, for me at least. It's just the renown grind on it to get the mount.
It's ridiculous. You
have to get almost 100,000 renown in order to get them out, because you have to hit renown 39, and renown 40 is 100,000. So it's literally like 99,000. Every 97,500 renown is what you got to hit, because it's 2,500 for each level.
Now, for me personally, and they won't do this, but if the way that I would play Plunderstorm is if they had it like a BG format where it was like 10v10, and you kind of go around as a team, like a big team, and those big fights would be really cool. That'd be interesting to be part of. That would have been fun. Maybe like a 20v20, like a huge one, and you're not like grouped out 20v20 all the time, but like you have a big team you can play with and kind of coordinate with and flank and tack, and that would have been cool. I like it. The solo's okay, duo is okay, but they won't do it like no battle royals.
Yeah, I think we did a lot better when it was the two of us together, and that's just because you're so much better at PvP than I am. So it was a little bit more doable.
I do know they nerfed the duo experience gain though.
Yes, they did. Yeah. But no, that's the thing. The only thing that makes me want to try to force myself through it is just to get the mounts. I really have zero interest in winning the thing. I have zero interest in experiencing it or playing it. I want there are 3 mounts, and I want those 3 mounts. But the grind is going to be rough. It's not going to be enjoyable. Some tips that I have read for just trying to get to farm renown is you do get a quest with every single battle, every single match you go into. You get a quest, the captain's orders. It'll want you to do some small quest thing. Could be find 2 chests, could be kill 2 rares, could be kill 10 enemies. There's one that was like pick up 2 items, and I've never seen an item in there, so I don't know what that's referring to. I don't know if that's like the spell items. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
sure.
just bells. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe I didn't get it done, so apparently I never found any spell. That might have been the one I died like 5 seconds into the match. Um, it's frustrating for me because I suck so bad at it. My only hope of surviving long enough to get the quest done is to fly where no one else is at and then try to avoid people the entire time because I just suck at PvP. Yeah. Like I was telling you, I don't even know how I was dying. I was going in after people that were 2 levels below me, had half health, and I would still just get wrecked. And I'm like, I'm hitting them with my abilities, and they're hitting me with their abilities, and I'm just getting hit for like double the amount of damage that I'm doing. So I don't know. It was annoying.
This is not. This is really. It's a little relevant. The one that I won, it was about spacing and using your health chug when they're running around. And getting as much health back as you can because the fights actually last a while at the higher levels towards the end of the game.
Right.
So like for example, I had the stealth one and I was playing with my buddy, and there was only a couple groups left, and we were fighting some of them, and I got kind of low, so like vanished, and I ran behind a rock and I drank up, and it came back in, and then my buddy came out and drank up, and we just kind of continued rotating that to keep our as healthy as possible. But it's I don't know, like that's why I'm curious to watch the tournament to see how people play.
Right.
Because I'm sure like a meta will be formed of like best spells, best combinations, how spells are used.
Yeah.
Because like if you have like the earth one that stuns people around you, you cast it, you could like set up like a big wombo combo. And like if you land a stun, your buddy lands like a sphere, Arcana Sphere 1 or whatever. Like that kind of stuff will be interesting to watch to see how people play. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like sometimes the leg wasn't on my side, and I was like on top of somebody, and I couldn't hit them, but they're hitting me at the same time. I'm like, how the hell is that happening?
Gotcha.
Because like when I one of the first ones I played, I was solo. Like somebody was not auto attacking me, but using the R button, the first ability you have, and I was using mine. I'm losing health. He's not losing health. I'm like, well, how is he hitting me and I'm not hitting him? And I'm aiming at him. And it's made no sense. I don't know. I don't know if it was like a internet issue. I don't know.
Right.
It was annoying though.
Yeah. But no, overall, like it's not the worst thing in the world. For me personally, I hate the style of game. I'm not a Fortnite fan. I'm not a battle royale type fan anyway.
Neither am I.
All that stuff I'm terrible at. I suck at it. I don't have any fun playing it. So for me, it was definitely very disappointing to get that instead of something that's actually I know it is WoW related, but like actual WoW related. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think I would have liked to have seen a new dungeon or a new raid, something small in game with our normal characters. Now, I will say, bigger picture, I think that what they may be trying to do, I think this is a testing for them.
Yeah.
I think they are trying to test to see what kind of interest in a battle royale style Warcraft themed video game is. And I think if they find this to be successful, perhaps they try to make a separate World of Warcraft themed battle royale game. I don't know if they would charge to buy the game. I wouldn't pay $20 for this game, like for me personally. But if they have more maps and stuff, you could have it more interesting if you get a little bit of variety at least. But I think what they probably would do would be have lots of transmogs and probably a loot catch system that you could just buy to get loot boxes, essentially, just like they have for skins, whatever it may be. That's how they would try to make money off of it.
I mean,
I don't want to see it be something where this is just like a like WoW Classic, where it's just like a on the side attached to World of Warcraft thing. I don't want to see that, because then at that point I do feel like it's just kind of wasting World of Warcraft resources on a battle royale. I would like to see them make
Yeah.
this a separate game with its own team, own resources, own whatever, and that's what they're focusing on. That's what I'm hoping this is that it's a testing to see how successful they think they could do with a World of Warcraft themed battle royale game. And I don't have any problem with that. I will be thrilled. Hey, go for it. If they find that and that's successful, awesome. No problem with it.
Yeah, I could be very wrong, and it could be very successful. I would say last like a month and a half, because that's my attention span for it. But like I said, I'm probably gonna watch the tournament. I bet you a lot of people are gonna watch the tournament.
Yeah.
Because not only because of the money, but because of the streamers. You watch streamers every day. You got streamers you watch for WoW, and like almost every streamer you watch for WoW is gonna be in this tournament for the most part. So it'd be fun to watch and cheer on the guys that you've been watching for years play this new kind of mode, and that could be like I said, I'm gonna watch it.
Well, and I think
I'll probably enjoy it. And you know what? Like if they do great, and that's awesome. But I do agree with you. If it becomes successful enough to continue on, it needs to not take resources and money from WoW to put into this.
Yeah, and I think the thing for me also is when I'm thinking about who are the people that are going to enjoy this, I don't see the majority of WoW players caring about this mode.
Yeah, they're playing MMO for MMO, not for Battle Royale.
But I think what they are doing, and what I'm expecting they're probably doing, is they're trying to pull in that Battle Royale fan base, the people that like Fortnite, Apex Legends, Call of Duty, all that stuff. The people that like that mode, this gives them something new to try out, World of Warcraft related. And like right now, you're going to have a lot of WoW people playing it to test it out and try it out. But if I think the goal, to me personally, if I'm looking at this from a business perspective, this isn't me trying to find something new for World of Warcraft players to do. This is me trying to find something World of Warcraft related that World of Warcraft people would be like, oh, well, let's take a look at this. But the audience I am trying to reach isn't the WoW player base, because the WoW player base you already have them. Like the majority of WoW players, guess what? They're going to play WoW no matter what, because we love WoW. As much as people like to bash World of Warcraft itself, the majority of the fan base is hardcore and is going to keep playing.
But they have a good enough player base too. Still, I think people kind of say, "Hey, the game's dying." Yeah, it's not as popular as other expansions, but it's still thriving.
Yeah, we still have millions more than any other MMO. Like Final Fantasy had its moment, and Final Fantasy I think has died down a bit since then. Also, Final Fantasy and WoW. I've played a little bit of Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy and WoW are two very, very different games. Final Fantasy is extremely story-driven, but the raids are super easy from what I've seen. The mechanics. Final Fantasy players be like, "Oh, the raids are very hard." I've seen lots of
WoW raids.
I've seen lots of WoW raiders go into Final Fantasy raids and be like, "This is super easy. Everything is telegraphed very, very strongly from what I've heard of and seen. Everything is extremely telegraphed. I know in the little bit that I played and was leveling up, everything was extremely telegraphed. It was very easy compared to WoW. So, and I think they both have their differences and everything, but it's two very different games in my opinion.
Yeah.
So comparing the two of them is a little bit apples to oranges. Anyway, I digress. But no, I think what Blizzard is trying to do with this is try to pull in that Apex Legends, that Fortnite player base, that Call of Duty player base, give them something to try and something to play, and then try to make a game for them. And I think, listen, you have a lot of potential there from that perspective of where I think you have lots of different maps you could do this on. Because they didn't take directly all the mobs and stuff that are in actual Warcraft. They put a whole bunch of their own mobs in the zone. They just took the zone map and then put a bunch of new stuff in there. And I think you have lots of different zones you could do that. I think Arathi Highlands is a really good zone to start with.
I think another good one would be the what Gilneas is.
Yes, yeah, Gilneas could be a lot of fun. I think
because you have like the open hill area by the wall, then you have like
Yeah.
the big city.
I think
It could be really
Wintergrass
cool.
would be a good spot too.
Wintergrass would, yeah, true. Or like Altark Valley.
Yeah. I think that you have a lot of potential for zones where you could do something like this.
Yeah.
So I think it's something you definitely could make its own game and have 10 to 15 different zones, so that each zone you're going to have a different strat for and stuff. You create more and more abilities in there. It definitely has potential for that fan base. I just don't think it has potential for the WoW fan base. That's where I just don't see it having much potential, because I think, I don't know. I think PvPers will like it more than people who focus on PvE for sure. Because the PvE part of it is very
minimal.
It's there, but it's at its core, it's a PvP mode. But yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm like, even right now, I'm internally like, I really want the mounts, but I don't know if I want to grind out the stuff. I will say for the round stuff, what I was saying earlier was you have your quests every time you hit the ground. You have a quest from the captain's orders. When you complete that, you get 250 plunder. Every bit of plunder you get equates to one rep. 2,500 rep gets you a renown level. So you get 250 rep from completing the captain's orders. Your first captain orders of the day gives you 800 rep. So it's quite a bit bonus there. But then you also can get your rep from the plunder. You get plunder just from killing NPC mobs. Killing rares is a good way of doing it. Treasure's a good way. When you kill a player, I think you get a decent amount of it, but it's a lot more harder. It's a lot more difficult to kill a player than it is to kill an NPC mob. Although I'm not gonna lie, I did die to an NPC mob at one point because I was level 1 and I landed right on top of a rare. And it was hard, and then a player came by and gave me a couple of whacks, and I ran away from the player, but the NPC kept chasing me and finally got me. So that was not a fun. I think that was the one where I had to get 2 items for the quest, and I died within 20 seconds of landing. So yeah, try it out, get your own opinion on it. Just because we don't care for that as much doesn't mean you won't enjoy it. Like I said, I personally would much rather have had other options, even just a holiday event, pirate theme. I would have preferred that to this. But some people might like it a whole lot, and that's fine. I think it does have a place out there. It's just I don't think WoW players, this isn't their style of game. I don't feel like, but hopefully anything that makes Blizzard money, I'm happy with. So gives them money to keep WoW
keeps all the games going.
Yep. Anyway, let's change topics just a little bit here.
Cover a couple hero talents.
Yeah, we're gonna go over some hero talents. I think we're probably just time-wise, we're just gonna do your 2 evoker ones that you got for us.
I can keep them short.
We'll see. We'll just see how it goes. I don't want to go too much over an hour. We got we're up about 50 minutes right now. So all right, go ahead and start off. Yeah, we'll see.
So let's start off with we're going over 2 evoker trees, both for devastation. The Flame Shaper is the first one. It's going to be between devastation and preservation. Jump right into it. The first ability is called Engulf. And what it does is it engulfs your target in Dragon Flame, damaging or healing them, because it's preservation as well. For each of your periodic effects on the target, effectiveness is increased by 50%. I'm going to jump down to the very bottom one, because it makes more sense if I tell you what exactly it does. So Consume Flame, the last talent, it makes your Engulf consume 8 seconds of fire breath from the target and detonate it for 300% of the damage consumed, and deals with damage beyond 5 targets. So if you are a Evoker fan, you probably have heard of Preheat, and he's someone I go to for devastation questions. The tree is nice, and it looks to be strong, especially burst-wise. The issue is that there's too much burst with devastation right now, and not enough aggro for tanks to hold that threat.
Yeah, your devastation burst is ridiculous already.
Yeah. So the Flame Shaper makes that burst even crazier. And so like I was saying, it consumes 8 seconds of fire breath. So if you do like a tip the scales fire maxed empowered fire breath, the dot's only like 12 seconds anyways. So you can consume the fire breath. And the thing is you have 2 charges of engulf. So you have an engulf for every single fire breath to make it explode dealing damage. Now, some of the evokers that I'm in the Discord with mentioned that there needs to be an immediate, not immediate, but maybe for next expansion, some sort of ability for devastation to reduce the threat they deal. Because Flame Shaper's just going to make it even harder on a tank to hold threat against devastation when they're bursting. It's just how it is. It's
yeah, I
right
already
now.
know a lot of times from a tank perspective, I jump into a pool, I have threat on everything. You tip the scales and then fire breath, and then guess what? I don't have threat on anything.
Yeah.
And then I'm spending the next 10 seconds trying to get threat and everything back because there's no only paladins and prot warriors have an AoE taunt. And
Yes, that brings you to
prot pallies is just isn't even really an AoE taunt. It's just divine shield. When you bubble it, you have a talent that makes it also AoE taunt, but you don't really want to use bubble for your taunt. You want to use bubble as a survival thing. The taunt is just extra. But then with prot warriors, you do have an AoE taunt. I think it's a 1.5 minute cooldown now. So like that's good. But no other tanks have that. Our taunt is a one enemy taunt. So, it's a little bit rough.
Yeah, so that was like, I was gonna bring that up. That was another part of the thread I was reading for Evokers was like, hey, we need something to reduce our threat, and we need to give tanks more threat, more AoE threat abilities to handle this kind of damage. A couple of quick abilities that I didn't mention is Engulf reignites Enkindle, which is like a dot that you deal when you do an essence attack. It does 20% of the damage over its fire over 8 seconds. So that is another dot that works with Engulf when you use Engulf. So you have your fire breath and you'll have your Enkindle debuff, and it's just even more burst. There's an ability that increases fire breath damage over time by 20%. That increases even more damage. So Flame Shaper is really about using your fire breath and then engulfing it, and just doing that as much as you can in an AoE fight. Single target, I don't see it being. It's to be strong, but not as strong as the other tree we'll get into. But for AoE, I think Flame Shaper's gonna do some serious damage for sure. But I do think threat's a big issue. Moving on to the Scale Commander, which is the Devastation and Augmentation row. I'll try and keep it brief again. We have Mass Eruption and Mass Disintegrate. So when using empowered ability, your next, I'm just going to go over this Devastation because it makes sense for both, but when using empowered ability, your next Disintegrate hits 3 targets for full damage. So you get 3 people hit with a Disintegrate, and then that's proccing your Scintillation, which procs your Eternity Surge on your targets. That opens up interesting talent builds to work with. I forgot the name of the ability, but when you use your blue attacks and deals damage, it stacks up a debuff, or a buff on yourself, I should say. That increases your next pyre damage by like, I don't remember how much it was. It was a lot though. And you could basically get a fire breath into a mass disintegrate, turning surge into a mass disintegrate, and then a pyre that would do a lot of damage, which is kind of interesting. Because it opens up talent builds that aren't used right now, which is kind of interesting. One of the last talents is called maneuverability, and basically makes your deep breath or breath of eons allowed to be steered in your direction that you want it to be, like you desired direction. So that again, in addition to that, deep breath burns targets for volcanic damage over 12 seconds. So build wise, you might want to build in, if you're running Seal Commander, you'd build into the 1 minute deep breath cooldown, so you can have that burn up as much as possible. That being said, people are thinking with the ability deep breath being steered, you don't have that option to aim it anymore. You just click it and fly around, because there's no point in having the aimer if you can just move it anyways. There's some interesting talents for Steel Commander that kind of look nice for PvP. That being, when you use your knock up or your knock back, the damage they deal to you is reduced by 15% for 8 seconds. So it's decent for sure. Or you can just run it straight up. If sitting skills reduces damage taken by additional 5, so it'd be 35%. There's some other talents that are kind of underwhelming. Like when you enter combat, you get a charge of burnout, which is your living flames instant. So you get 1 instant every time you join combat, which is not as good in raid, but might be okay in Mythic Plus. There's some other talents around, but I'm sure a lot of stuff's gonna get tweaked and stuff like that. So I'm gonna keep it short and end up there.
All right. And then the other one that I think we're gonna go over tonight, we're gonna cover the Druid of the Claw. I wanted to go over the Guardian Druid talents. So the Druid of the Claw is for Feral and Guardian. I know you play a lot of Feral, so you can feel free to chime in on the Feral aspects of this one. So anyway, your base talent that you're gonna have is Massive Attack, which causes your auto attacks have a chance to make your next ferocious bite if you're feral, or maul if you're guardian become a massive attack. Basically, what happens is for feral, it makes your ferocious bite an AOE for all enemies in front of you. It causes you deal physical damage per combo point to your target, and consuming up to 25 additional energy to increase that damage by up to 100%. And it hits all of the enemies in front of you for reduced damage per combo point spent. Guardian makes Maul, becomes a massive attack, slashes through your target in a wide arc, dealing physical damage to your target and additional damage to all their enemies in front of you. So again, it makes Maul become an AoE attack. So your massive attack just makes your single target spenders become AoE spenders, which is interesting. From a Guardian perspective, we already have Raise. So, but this definitely seems like it's going to be better depending on what talents you pick. So we'll start on the left side of the tree. You have Bounce of Strength, which increases your energy and rage by 20. And it also makes your Frenzied Regeneration, increases your maximum health by 10%. You have Wild Shape Mastery is the second talent on the left. Iron Fur and Frenzied Regeneration persists in cat form. When you transform from bear to cat form, you retain 80% of your bear form armor and health for 6 seconds. And for 6 seconds after entering bear form, you heal for 10% of damage taken over 8 seconds. I think that is a really good raid talent. Don't think it has too much of a place in Mythic Plus, though, because if you're a tank and you switch into... If you're a tank, you don't want to switch from bear to cat form in Mythic Plus. In raid, you're definitely going to kitty weave, so that was nice. I don't know if it's necessarily amazing, though. Because, again, like, if you're kitty weaving, you're trying to do damage.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just really quickly, I was looking at some Feral Druid's opinions. They like the tree. I think it's interesting. They don't like how it doesn't kind of have the fantasy around their bleeds. Like, their bleeds aren't really changed in any way for any of the Feral trees for the hero talents, apparently. So that was kind of But personally, I think the massive attack looks really cool.
I like Massive Attack a lot. I definitely think it's really cool for Mythic Plus, especially. I love AOE abilities. So I think it's why I like Mythic Plus. Is I like AOE abilities.
Yeah.
Every game I play, I'm always looking for AOE abilities. I've noticed. So anyway, the third and talent on the left side, the final one for the left side, is Empowered Shapeshifting. Frigid Regeneration can be cast in cat form for 40 energy. Bear form reduces magic damage you take by 4%. Shred, Swipe, and Mangle damage are increased by 5%. So that's a nice little, just all-encompassing ability. Or you can choose for Wild Power Surge, which, if you're feral, makes Shred and Swipe grant Ursine potential, which means that when you have 8 stacks, the next time you transform into bear form, your next Mangle or Swipe deal 100% increased damage and generates 15 extra rage. Again, it has potential in Raid. I don't see that having potential in Mythic Plus.
I think it's awful for feral, because why would you want to go into bear form? Like,
yeah, that's what I was saying. I could see that in Raid. But yeah, I guess if it's
like, why would you want to cat form to bear form?
Yeah, I guess if you have to be in feral, yeah, it really doesn't. If it works to where, like, hey, if you're in cat form, you're gaining that. If it's not feral versus guardian, if it was cat form versus bear form, then I could see it be better. But yeah, it looks I mean, that's a great point. Is that feral? If it's specifically tied to you're in feral spec, you're never going to want to swap to bear form other than as a defensive ability. Yeah. I don't know. And for Guardian, Mangle grants feline potential, which when you have 6 stacks, the next time you transform into cat form, gain 6 combo points, and your next Ferocious Bite or Rip deals 50% increased damage for its full duration. That has potential. Again, it has potential in Raid. It's really, that whole left side really isn't very good for Mythic Plus.
Right.
The final talent, which you'll have regardless of which of the 3 trees you pick, is Claw Rampage. Feral, during Berserk, Shred, and Swipe and Thrash, they all have a 25% chance to make your next Ferocious Bite become a massive attack, which is excellent. For Guardian, during Berserk, Mangle, Swipe, and Thrash have a 25% chance to make your next Maul become a massive attack. Again, the massive attack is very strong, as we'll see in some of these other upcoming talents. So the middle row, Dreadful Wound. Massive attack also inflicts a bleed that causes additional damage over 6 seconds and saps its victim's strength, reducing damage they deal to you by 5%. Dread Wound is not affected by Circle of Life and Death. So that's a nice bleed that also acts as a defensive. I'm not sure how much damage the bleed does, but it definitely looks like a good tanking talent. Feral, if a Dreadful Wound benefiting from Tiger's Fury is reapplied, the new Dreadful Wound deals damage as if the Tiger Fury was active. I'm not sure what Tiger Fury is, so...
it's just like when you use it, it's 25 for a second cooldown. When you use it, increase your damage by like 12% or something.
Okay.
It gives you energy as well when you use it.
Gotcha. Alright, so then the second talent in the middle is Ruthless. You have a choice between Ruthless Aggression, which makes your massive attack increase your auto attack speed by 20% for 6 seconds, or Killing Strikes, which makes your massive attack increase your agility by 5% and the armor granted by Iron Fur by 20% for 6 seconds.
That sounds good.
And with Feral, it makes your first Tiger Fury after entering combat, makes your next Ferocious Bite become a massive attack. For Guardian, your first Mangle after entering combat makes your next Maul become a massive attack, which I really like that from a threat generating perspective. I really like that middle section there. The final talent in the middle is Aggravate Wounds. For Feral, every finishing move, Shred, Thrash, or Swipe you cast extends the duration of your Dreadful Wounds by 0.4 seconds up to 6 additional seconds. And for Guardian, it's basically the same thing, except it's Maul, Raise, Mangle, Thrash, or Swipe will extend Dreadful Wounds by 0.4 seconds up to 6 additional seconds. Again, Dreadful Wounds puts a nice bleed for 6 seconds and reduces the damage they deal to you. So I think that's a fantastic talent to like that whole middle section. I love as a Mythic Plus person. Now, the right side has some potential but I think the middle is probably where you're going to want to go. So the right side, Bestial Strength, the first talent.
It's
For
pretty good for Feral.
Feral, Ferocious Bite, damage increased by 5%. Primal Wrath's direct damage increased by 100%. For Guardian,
Pretty good.
Maul and Raise damage is increased by 10%. So it's just a passive, straight up 10% gain. Not bad.
Do you know what Primal Wrath is?
Primal Wrath is your big. It doesn't put a bleed on everybody.
Yeah, put your rip on everybody.
Yeah, so that's actually it's really good for Feral there probably.
Yeah, it doesn't have an AoE cap if I remember correctly either. Like, so it'll do that full damage to everybody, which is nice. It's not like a huge hit, but it's definitely gonna be significant, 100%.
Right. Then the second talent is pretty meh. Pack's Endurance, Stampeding Roar's duration is increased by 25%. Just a movement increase.
It's like a 3-second increase or something?
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the other talents...
a little underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, the middle talent tree just is damage on all 3 talents. So yeah. I don't see anybody taking the right side because of just simply because of Pack's Endurance is just not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And then the final talent in this tree, you have a choice between Strike for the Heart, which causes Shred, Swipe, and Mangle's critical strike chance and critical strike damage are increased by 8%. So that's not bad. And then, or you choose Tear Down the Mighty, which for Feral, the cooldown of Feral Frenzy is reduced by 5 seconds. And for Guardian, the cooldown of Pulverize is reduced by 5 seconds. Another reason why Guardians will not use this side of the tree because nobody runs Pulverize. The only time you even run Pulverize and have that ability is if you are purely single target. So on a single target raid fight, maybe you use that side. But again, the middle section here is fantastic for Mythic Plus. For Guardian especially. I know for Feral it looks pretty good from what I'm seeing. For Guardian, I think it's hands down no-brainer. You're going straight down the middle of this tree. And here's something that we also don't know for sure. We know we're getting 10 hero talent points. The question is, how do we spend those? Is it going to be, and this is what I think it is you will put 5 points into each of your specs hero talent trees. And so you will basically, you'll get your first and your last talent, and then you have to spend your other 3 points and pick a row. So you're basically going to get to choose one row. That's my assumption. That's what makes the most sense to me. Alternatively, the other option would be that you have 10 hero talents and you just put them wherever you want into one tree if you want to, which doesn't seem right to me because there's only 11 talents in each tree. So you basically would be able to pick all but one talent if you did that. So I think it's probably going to be where you will be using both trees and you're going to get 5 points for each tree, and you got to pick one of the 3 rows, and that's what you're going to get. That's my guess. That's how I am expecting it to work. We won't know until Alpha comes out, and then people will be able to test it. So the last tree we're going to go over, and then we're going to wrap this up, is Loon's Chosen, which is for Balance and Guardian Druids.
Ooh, I haven't seen this one.
I've actually not looked at this either, so it's the first time I'm looking at it. So for the first talent, it's Boundless Moonlight. For Boomkin, Full Moon calls down 2 minor moons that deal astral damage and generate 3 astral power.
Nice.
For Guardian, Lunar Beam, which we don't use, now causes you to leech life equal to 10% of all damage dealt to enemies within the beam. For both specializations, Fury of a Loon, Balance, and Guardian now ends with a flash of energy blasting nearby enemies for astral damage. So this already seems like it's going to be a laser beam. Would definitely put you into laser beam build for Guardian, which is interesting. So we'll start with the left side of the tree here. Moon Guardian, Moonfire, and Starfire generate 2 additional astral power. For Guardian, free automatic Moonfires from Galactic Guardian generates 5 rage. I like that it says automatic because that means you're going back to how it was, where they automatically will go off. That's interesting. That is definitely a bonus. because that's the whole reason we stopped with the Moonfire build, was because it was no longer an automatic cast. It was we had to actually cast it ourselves.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Second talent, Lunar Amplification. Each non-arcane damaging ability you use increases the damage of your next arcane damaging ability by 3%, stacking up to 3 times, which would be 9%. So that's interesting.
It's really strong for Boomkin.
I feel like it's really strong for Guardian because it means your next Moonfire, that's your only arcane ability. So it means that when you get that automatic proc, which Moonfire already does like 300 increased damage, like 300% increased damage whenever it procs. So then you add that in there, you get another 9% on top of that. It's not bad. Final talent on the left side, Stellar Command. For Boomkin, increases the damage of Full Moon by 15%. And Guardian increases the damage of Lunar Beam by 30%. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what Lunar Beam is for Guardian because it's not a talent we've taken this entire expansion or last expansion. So I'm not entirely sure what Lunar Beam is for Guardian. For both specializations, it increases the damage of Fury of Loon by 15%. Again, I know Fury of Loon from Boomkin. I didn't realize that was something Guardian could even have, but obviously it is. I didn't
know that either.
The other option for this talent would be Lunar Calling, which makes for Boomkin, Starfire deals 40% increased damage to its primary target, but no longer triggers Solar Eclipse. For Guardian, Thrash now deals arcane damage, and its damage is increased by 12%. That's interesting. Making Thrash be arcane damage. Interesting.
That would go past armor then, eh? Because it'd be magic.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure how all that works, honestly, because I don't use a lot of magic users. Eternal Moon is the final talent at the end of this entire tree. So it increases the power of Boundless Moonlight, which is the very first talent. For Boomkin, Full Moon, New Moon, and Half Moon now also call down 1 Minor Moon. For Guardian, Lunar Beam increases Mastery by an additional 8%, deals 30% increased damage, and lasts 3 seconds longer. For both,
really pushing out Lunar Beam.
Yes, this is definitely a laser build, which is weird because, again, if this is a situation where we are using, if it, like I was saying, where you put 5 talents into each tree, this is definitely going to force you into a Moonfire build.
Yeah.
Where is that? Oh, yeah. For both positions, Fury of a Loon, Flash of Energy now generates 6 Astral Power or 6 Rage, and its damage is increased by 50%. The middle talent tree here, Lunar Insight, Moonfire deals 10 additional damage. Atmospheric Exposure, enemies damaged by Full Moon, Fury of a Loon, or Lunar Beam take 4% increased damage from you for 6 seconds. For the third talent, you choose between the Light of a Loon, which is Moonfire damage, has a chance to call down Fury of a Loon to follow your target for 3 seconds and generate 18 Astral Power or Rage over its duration. I like that.
Yeah.
Or you can choose Astral Insight, Incarnation, Chosen of a Loon, and Incarnation, Guardian of Ursoc, increase arcane damage from spells and abilities by 10% while active, Convoke the Spirit's duration and number of spells cast increase by 25%. She's pretty competitive with the Light of a Loon. I really like that one too. And then to finish us out, right side of the tree, Glistening Fur, Bear Form, and Moonkin Form reduce arcane damage taken by 6% and all of the magic damage taken by 3%.
Interesting.
Then you choose between Moon Dust, which causes enemies affected by Moonfire are slowed by 30%. Not bad. Terrible in Sanguine, but not bad in other times. Or you can choose a Loon's Grace. Using Wild Charge in Bear Form or Moonkin Form incurs a 3-second shorter cooldown. That's a terrible talent, honestly.
Yeah.
For the final talent on the right side, Arcane Affinity. All arcane damage from your spells and abilities is increased by 3%. Lunation, your arcane abilities reduce the cooldown of Fury of a Loon by 2 seconds, and the cooldown of New Moon, Half Moon, and Full Moon by 1 second. And for Guardian, your arcane abilities reduce the cooldown of Lunar Beam by 3 seconds. So I don't know that I like this tree at all for Guardian. Like it's got some interesting bits.
Definitely, this really changed up the playstyle. It seems.
Yes. And honestly, the way that this is set up kind of makes me wonder if you are just going to pick one hero talent tree and have to put all 10 talents in that. That doesn't make sense to me because again, you're only then leaving out one talent for the whole hero tree.
I thought it was just 5, to be honest.
I think you get 10 hero talents points because you get one for every level. So I mean,
that confirmed?
Yes, that is 100% confirmed.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's supposed to be 5 and 5 or if you can put 10 into one entire tree. Because I will say if you can put 10 into one entire tree, I'm definitely going Druid of the Claw over Loon's Chosen for Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
But if you're going 5,
well, you're right. I'm reading right now. It says you will earn all 10 hero talent points on your way to level 80, allowing you to unlock all the hero talents similarly to Legion artifact weapons.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I don't think it says in there that
it's gotta be within one tree. Like it has to be.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for because I feel like that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, this doesn't really say anything on that. I don't think so. Like, yeah. I mean, the only information it says is that each specialization will have the choice between 2 hero talent trees, each being shared with one other spec. So to me, it does seem to me like you have to pick a talent tree and then you use it.
I think so too.
It's just weird to me because again, you have 10 talents. There's only a talent points. There's only 11 talents in a single tree. So like for example, let's look at the Druid of the Claw one. You're literally just picking between either not having one of those. You're basically picking which of the last in the 3 rows, which of the last one do you not want. That's it. Yeah. That's your only. You get everything else, which is weird to me.
They should just give us all.
Well, I feel like if you're gonna have 10 points, I almost feel like it needs to be like 5 points, honestly, because I feel like you shouldn't get to choose more than one row.
Before even reading that, I thought it was 5 talent points. I thought it was every other level you get one.
Yeah, well, that's why to me, like having 5 points in each hero tree makes more sense. But it does feel like they want you to choose between one tree or the other, and then you not use the other tree.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We won't know until we get alpha testing, and then people will be able to test out. We'll get information then. But yeah, like I definitely like Druid of the Claw over Loon's Chosen for Guardian. If we were forced into 5 and 5, I'm taking the middle row for Druid of the Claw, and I'm probably. I think I'm taking the middle row for Loon's Chosen as well.
That's interesting.
I think it's close for me. I think it's close between the middle row and the left row. Definitely not touching the right side row because that is more movement abilities than anything. A lot more utility. And like, if you look at the Druid of the Claw, there's really the only utility talent is that pack endurance.
Roar.
Yeah. Whereas on the Druid or the Loon's Chosen, I mean, I guess it's still that middle one's the only actual utility, but like, the damage reduction for 6% for arcane and all of magic by 3%. That's not that much. That's hard. That's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a toss up between the middle and the left row for Loon's Chosen.
Interesting.
But I do think looking at these and just how drastically different the talent trees are, I do think it's going to be that you pick one hero tree and you stick 10 points out of the 11 talents.
That's certain trees are really going to benefit from that over other trees, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think from what I'm looking at, I would say if it is a 10 out of 11 deal where you put 10 into one Druid of the Claw, I think the only talent that I'm not putting a point in would be on the left side, the bottom left one. I mean, I think honestly, your empowered shapeshifting, the 5% increase to swipe and mangle is okay, but mangle is a single target ability, and swipe you don't use very often as a bear, as a guardian druid, and the wild power surge is awful. You never that one just isn't any good for outside of raid. So I think that would be the one I would sacrifice, because even though I don't care about the stampeding roar one, that strike for the heart, that one's pretty good. Shred, swipe, and mangle's critical strike chance and critical strike damage are increased by 8%.
Yeah.
Again, you're not going to use shred or swipe very often. Mangle you'll use a lot. You're going to use mangle on cooldown. So I don't know that. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because I think the crit chance makes that better for strike with the heart than the left side. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up. You got any more thoughts on the talent trees?
No, I'm just looking forward to going to the DK ones. I really like them.
Yeah. I am looking forward to Alpha eventually coming out and we find out a lot more information as to how the talent points work. That's what I'm most interested to see. Anyway, so week in WoW. How was your week in WoW? What have you been up to in WoW? Or like, what has your last couple months been up to in WoW?
I haven't played my Evoker quite a bit. Just kind of keep up with the expansion news and see what looks fun and appealing to me. And I think Death Knight has my heart right now. I love the talent trees that they have for them. They're great, but I've been trying to get my legendary axe, my Death Knight. I've only done it 3 times, but hopefully get that soon. It would be nice. Just doing Mythic Plus. I did a little bit of arenas. I almost got my 1800 to my Evoker, but I haven't really played too much. I know 1800 is a high, but all I want is the Elite set. No, I'm just looking forward to beta as well to play. Yeah. How about you?
A lot of tanking. Been trying to go through the last couple weeks at least and get keys on all of my tanks so I can just kind of stay in practice on them, and then also just start gearing them a little bit. The ones that don't have much gear, all my tanks have like 450 or higher except for my warrior, which is now like 440, so he's getting there. We got him quite a bit of gear these last few days. Tried a little bit of enhanced shaman, which I enjoyed. My gear's absolute garbage, but a little bit there. I did all right, I think, for my gear item level. I did all right damage wise. I did some decent numbers. Nothing amazing, but I think for my gear is pretty good.
Yeah.
Got my head enchant on my demon hunter, which, by the way, if you don't have that, go into raid. Every boss will give you 5 of the amphora, so you could get it in a single week if you can clear normal and get 1 or 2 bosses on raid, or get any combination of 10 bosses killed on between normal and heroic. I don't know if LFR gives anything. That's might be an option. I don't know. But yeah, no, it's you can get it in 1 week now, pretty much. It's very simple. Yeah, it's a lot of Mythic Plus. Enjoying playing my tanks for sure. I'm liking it a lot. Just playing all the different ones. Blood DK's getting a little bit more enjoyable. It's just the issue, which I know we talked about this a bit, with Death and Decay being such a restrictive spot, and Mythic Plus require you to move so much. And like, you're a Blood DK. If you're in Death and Decay, you're nice and big and strong. If you're out of Death and Decay, you're weak as crap. So like it's important to stay in that, and it's a bit frustrating when you have a play style that is wants you to stay in one spot as much as possible, but the game mode you're playing requires you to move a ton.
Tell me about it.
And Death and Decay has such a long cooldown on it and such a high resource cost. You can't, like, so like prop pallies, consecration, same thing. You want to be in your consecration all the time. But Death and Decay, I think, is like a 9-second cooldown. And
they have 2 charges on 20 seconds.
Okay, yeah. So that's a very long cooldown. And you have to it's 2, isn't it 2 runes to spend it?
This is 1.
I think for Blood Decay, I think it's 2. I think for Blood Decay it costs 2 runes. I'll double check. It might just be 1. But either way, it's cost a rune to use. So it's a 6. It's 1/6 or 2/6. It's either 1/6 or 1/3 of your entire resource to use it. Whereas Rot Pally, we have basically the same type of ability. You want to be in your consecration all the time because it enhances everything you do. But consecration is a 3-second cooldown, and it just uses a little bit of mana, and you can literally cast it anytime you need to. Like, you could just drop it every 3 seconds. You can drop it, and you also get free procs to drop it that are like empowered versions of consecration. So like, it's very, very easy to move around and renew your consecration, whereas Blood Decay just doesn't have that option. So that's an issue I know we talked about. Potentially maybe we'll get fixed with some hero talents, or
they put a blue note out on the hero talent page for DK saying they are going to change how D&D works. That's it's confirmed. We just don't know how they're going to change it. If it follows you around or follows your target around, not quite sure. All we do know is it is getting changed.
Yeah, it would definitely be nice if it was something where it either works like where it follows you around, or if it works where it's like a Sigil of Flame deal where you drop it and the enemies just get a debuff that stays on them no matter where they go, where you have to go. One of those two things would be the solution, basically, in my opinion. I've enjoyed playing the different tanks and whatnot. So haven't played as much just because of schedule wise. I'm going to bed earlier and I'm on more during the day now, but nope, we've been playing a lot as we can.
Yeah.
But I think that is it for now.
Yeah.
And you got anything else?
Nope.
All right. So we will catch you all later. You can check us out at our socials up top. I'm Twitch at BuckBlind. I haven't streamed in a while, but I should do that.
Lie.
I mean, you've streamed a couple times. You streamed a decent amount the last couple of weeks, at least. YouTube, I'm BuckBlind the Demon Hunter, and on Twitter, I'm at BuckBlindDH. Go to my Twitter, you can see me ranting about Plunderstorm. And what are your socials, bio?
QQ_Bioshock for YouTube and Twitch.
Thanks. And he now has a LinkedIn, but it's not for WoW. So if you can hunt him down and track him down, you can add him on LinkedIn. But we're not going to give you that one. You got to find that on your own. That's your
mystery.
Mystery of the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that should be it. I might stream here in a little bit. So, if by the time you guys watch this podcast, not so much. But yeah, anyway, have have a good one, and we will see you guys next week, most likely.
See ya.
Just give me another wave real quick, because that was blurred out, and it looked like you were flipping us off. All right, there you go. All right,
Blur again.
We'll see you next time.
Later.